Hey, it's Dan Moralez. This is Homebuyer Radio, episode number 137, I believe. I could be wrong, though. So, one of these days I think I'm going to keep accurate count of all the episodes we do. But a lot of times I do these things just kind of on the fly. They're encouraged by things that I have happen to clients, that I try to help clients avoid, or circumstances or situations I see clients have that I try to help them get past. But a lot of times they're things that were avoidable by starting this process a little bit earlier, right? So this week what I want to talk about is the problems you have that you don't even know you have. Okay, so what happens a lot of times as part of this mortgage process is there are more parts to this than what people understand. Okay, just because you have a job and you have income doesn't mean that I can count all of your income towards qualifying you. Okay, now that's especially true if you have income that is variable in nature, meaning that it's commissioned, or it's largely dependent upon a bonus or overtime or stuff like that. Or maybe, you have a primary job and you said, gosh, get ready to buy a house. I'm going to get a second job and I'll use that extra income to qualify towards a mortgage and so on, right? Guess what? In many cases you can't, depending on how long you've had the second job. So, there's a lot of moving parts or pieces to this. And oftentimes there are problems that are part of the mortgage process that, clients don't know they have. Now, we try to help educate you and walk you through that process and why different things have to be done a certain way, or why we have to document certain things, or why certain types of income don't count, or why certain types of debt have to count against you when, you would think they don't have to count. There's all of these different situations or circumstances that can come into play. That's one of the reasons why, we've been talking about this, formal pre-approval process, why it's important to verify income, assets, credit, to really do a deeper dive on the front end so that we really know what we have to work with and we can kind of head off any potential problems in the back end. Okay. So, to recap, get started on this process sooner. Don't wait till the last minute to get started, because if you wait till the last minute, then you're going to find yourself scrambling to solve problems. And, in some cases you may have a problem that you can't solve, and then you have a transaction that unwinds. You have a bunch of time, energy, and money invested in a transaction that just doesn't turn out in the end. And what is there? It's worse than that, right? Especially if you find yourself scrambling to find another place to live. Okay, that's a really bad thing. But a lot of times clients have problems that they don't know that they have. I ran into I think in one of the recent episodes I talked about a client that had an issue with a collection. And let me just say, guys, when you get these notices from a collection agency, I'm telling you, you need to deal with them, okay? And don't just take them for granted. A lot of times people get a $25 collection. I'm not going to deal with this. This is stupid. It's dumb. Throw it away, okay? Well, guess what? When that $25 collection reports on your credit report, which oftentimes it will, you're going to take a huge hit on your credit score. So you really need to pay attention to that kind of stuff, because it will trip you up and it will cost you heavily in the mortgage process. And if you have those things that are on your credit report, gosh, it is going to take, oftentimes a fair amount of time to get some of that stuff off, if you can even get it off at all, right? And that can have a huge impact on your overall cost to borrow and stuff like that. So, just pay attention to those things, because those are little things that you don't know that might trip you up, as part of this process. The sooner you get started, the more time we have to kind of dig into things and figure out where you're at, make sure we have everything dialed in and good to go. Now, one of the things that we try to do, is we try to help clients navigate through this process. We don't always point out every hurdle that you have as part of the process. Obviously, we're going to educate you, okay? We're going to educate you and walk through this process, but we don't always dive deep into the technical aspects of what I have to do to be able to get you across the finish line. Because in some cases, what happens is it's stuff that, in all honesty, you're just not going to understand, okay? And so one of the reasons we don't do that is because A, you may not necessarily understand it, and B, we just don't want to make this process any more difficult than what it needs to be. So that's where, when I talk about it's really important to cooperate in providing the documentation that we need to have from you and good stuff like that. That's one of the reasons why I say that, because that stuff is super important to us getting across the finish line. Your cooperation is key to helping us solve problems that you didn't know you have. So it's really important that, you start this process sooner, that you're cooperative with this process. You help us document income and assets and all that other good stuff so that we can go through and we can kind of clear, if you will, any hurdles that we need to on the front end of this process, as opposed to trying to clean them up in the back end when, we might be in a position where we can't, right? So, do yourself a favor, work with us on the pre-approval. Our pre-approvals are rock solid. They're well respected, in the industry. We have a tremendous amount of success getting our offers approved because of our reputation, and because the realtors trust what we have to tell them, and they know that we have a track record to back it up. Okay. Hey, again, my name is Dan Moralez. I am America's Mortgage Man. You can find me online at danmoralez.com. That's DANMORALEZ.com. Phone number is 616-931-4629. My NMLS number is 709-729. And of course, Northpointe Bank is an equal housing lender. Now, hey, do me a favor again. If you're going to buy a house, would you please give us an opportunity to write you the mortgage? If you've benefited from the content on this website or this podcast, and you've benefited from the information that we've provided, we really would love to have the opportunity to work with you and help you finance your house. With over 28 years of experience, I'd like to think I know a thing or two about mortgages. And oftentimes I'm able to provide solutions that clients haven't seen from other lenders because there's a lot of experience sitting behind this desk, right? And there are oftentimes more than one way to skin a cat. We want to help you find the most effective way to do that for you. So that's one of the things I have to ask of you. And the second thing is, if you enjoy the content, please write a review. Share it and write a review. Let other people know that you enjoy the podcast. It helps us to get the word out there and to get in front of more people as well. Okay. Hey, thanks for listening. I hope you have an awesome week.